The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Mick Cunningham. Mick is the co-founder and CTO at Zelta AI. Mick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, JP. Great to be here.
Yeah, and we're delighted to have you. So Mick, let's start with yourself as we do with all our guests. Could you give us an overview of your background in technology, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and take us up to, I suppose, the backstory and the origins of Zelta?
So I got my master's in software engineering in Ireland, and then I worked as a data scientist at Citigroup for a year in Belfast. I then moved to New York, and I worked for a construction company for a year, building out a program around project management, which was very data heavy. And then after that, I worked in Barclays in the trading team. Basically, again, very data heavy, very message heavy. Obviously, a lot of security implications there too, because obviously it's trading. And then worked there for about 3.5 years. And then with my friends, Pierce and Connor, we started Zelta in the middle of last year.
Amazing. So let's jump straight into it. Talk to us. First of all, tell us about Zelta, who you are, what you do, mission of the business, and where the idea came from.
So Zelta AI helps product teams and B2B SaaS companies prioritize their roadmap more effectively. So what that means in practice is our application ingests qualitative customer feedback from a variety of sources, such as call transcripts, support tickets, and user surveys. And then we then use generative AI to serve up insights to the product managers.
Why did you guys decide to launch during the pandemic? What was the opportunity that you saw, given your combined backgrounds, that you felt that, look, this is the space that's in need of this type of service?
The key thing to answer that question was we found the three of us have worked in product teams. Pierce was a product manager at McKinsey. Connor worked in sales teams, which was very closely related to the product team. And obviously myself, working in a trading team. Our trading system was the product. And we found that they were very data driven and relied a lot on product analytics. But those product analytics tended to be from a quantitative point of view. So for example, even nowadays, a lot of product managers will use maybe something like Mixpanel or Amplitude for data on how their users interact with their product. I know at Barclays, we had metrics on how the product was actually being used, but we've seen that there was a gap in uncovering why users behaved in a certain way and maybe why customers neglected products or they kind of went off the boil with products. And we found it was that qualitative side around kind of customer feeling towards their product. And that's what we wanted to build Zelta around.
So talk to us about the launch and how it's been the last 6 months from you deciding to go to market. Who are the customer types that you're targeting? And when you're speaking to them about potential impact, how do you walk them through the journey from this is what we can do for you, this is the end result? And maybe if there's already a recent customer example that you could share with us, that would be great.
So our main selling point is these customers nowadays have an absolute treasure chest of data in terms of in the qualitative sense. For example, one of our current customers has a lot of call transcripts with customers of their own company. And we found that they can't really get any insights out of it. I see that nowadays, even most of the calls I'm on with people, we have Fireflies in the background or a note-taking app. And the chances are that people have a lot of calls. Are they really going to go back to all those notes and skim through line by line? I would guess not. So our selling point is we can link your data to our application, and then we perform that generative AI on that data to segment the various complaints customers may have, the various needs they may have, or the various improvements or enhancements or feature requests they may need with your product. So again, tying back to our mission statement, this allows us to give our customers a real insight into how they can prioritize their roadmap for their customers.
So, Mick, I want to spend some time now talking about the AI behind all of this and the build that's going to need to go on. Obviously, the product and the go to market makes absolute sense. But behind all of that, there's some really cool and interesting uses of AI and analytics at play. Could you give us a look behind the scenes and walk us through what you and the data team are going to have to build and how that's going to grow as you see more and more customers come to you and using Zelta?
Yeah, no problem. So from the AI point of view, I guess a solution to this wouldn't have been possible only until very recently, just with the advances in like natural language processing and large language models and stuff. Because again, a lot of this kind of call data, I'll just use call data as the analogy today, but a lot of this call data is unstructured and unlabeled. So the recent advances in technology have definitely helped. It's rapidly improving by the day, which is pretty insane. I'm sure like everyone probably listening to this podcast have seen the recent advancements in like OpenAI's APIs. They're one sort of segment that we are using for our solutions. But we're now at the point where like very unstructured data sources like calls and support tickets can be mined for insights in a powerful way. Like I come from a data science kind of background where it was vanilla data science, I like to call it, where you have train and labeled data that you train a model on, and then obviously you test the model with some test data that's obviously unlabeled and see the kind of results you get. But we found that with the recent advancements in the OpenAI and APIs, amongst others, OpenAI, I just say it because everybody knows it, but amongst other kind of things we're doing, we find that even sometimes prompt engineering and giving good context to the prompt, these models are that smart that they can ingest that there, and that can be seen as the training data. And then they give us unbelievable insights into this customer data.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
So, Mick, you're very early into the launch of your startup, but bringing yourself and the other co-founders, you're bringing a lot of historical experience, but you're still going to need to build and establish a team to help you along this way. So, when you look at the roadmap for the next 1 to 2 years, what are some of the milestones that you're working towards, both from obviously customer adoption as much as possible, but where do you see the team growing to in the next 12 to 24 months? What are some of the things that you're most excited about?
In terms of the roadmap for the next 12 to 24 months, we kind of are just building product till then for obviously giving us the best demo possible. We hired a new engineer there 3 weeks ago, so I'm working very closely with him. I'm still very hands-on, so a lot of my day is building product. We're going to onboard 10 customers here, and then looking forward for the next year or two, it'll be growing kind of at a steady pace because again, I found that this application that's going to be very heavily data focused, it's very important to get the data pipelines in place in an efficient way in the beginning. So then you can give the best value to your customers, you know? So I would say likely Q2, Q3 and Q4 of this year, we'll be slowly adding members to the team. I'd like to get maybe 2 to 3 data scientists on board as well, just so we can integrate with as many different ways of getting data as possible. Obviously normalize it all then to our kind of template format, and then give the customers the best feedback possible based on their own data.
Yeah, absolutely. So staying on the topic then of the plan to build the team, obviously it requires a certain type of skill set to come in and work an early stage startup. The good news is there's always a lot of people who are motivated and excited to do. Given yourself and the co-founders have had a background of a friendship prior to launching, you've already got a good culture established. So when you're speaking to your network and thinking about potential future candidates, what is it that you'll tell them about the work, the mission, the culture that would get them excited enough to join you guys over some of the other great startups trying to hire?
Yeah, like it's a pretty unique selling point, JP, in the sense that come work for us and you can get an insight into literally every stage of a company because we're that small. I know for myself, it was unbelievable just to get a wide spectrum of things you could be doing day to day. But even for the hire we got, it was, we're going to be working hard. Yeah, you're going to get looked after pretty well, but come, be willing to learn, be willing to have impact from day one and be willing to be autonomous, and you'll be trusted day one. Like, even again, I just think of our current hire. I trust him hugely. We have daily discussions around kind of system architecture and can we increase efficiency here and there. He is a real input. He can decide on things, and I can say, you know what, let's go with that. Let's do something that you're suggesting, which I know just doesn't happen in big companies. But again, another thing is we're looking to make a huge impact in the world here and try and make our customers' lives easier so they can improve their own product. So there's a great fulfillment in that. And yes, we perhaps can't offer the same salaries day one as the likes of Google, Facebook, or Twitter, but we certainly can offer something unique that you won't get there, where it's a small team. It's almost, we're all great friends. You'll have an impact day one. And I think you'll definitely enjoy your work. You'll be more emotionally invested in it because you know that what you're doing has a direct impact on the success of the business.
And I think obviously with recent announcements of some of those marquee companies who you mentioned cutting back staff, it's put more attention on the other companies and why the mission and the environment is just as important. So Mick, final question for me then to yourself. When we have you back on the show in 2 years from now, what's the business going to look like? What are you most excited about to embark on this journey?
I think in 2 years from now, I would like to say we've grown the team to maybe 10 to 15 employees. I'm not hesitant, but I'm always like, maybe growing exponentially quick can be a bit of a deterrent as well, or can be to your detriment, if you get me, because a lot more employees is not necessarily always better. So I would like to make sure that our team growing in sync with how much business we're taking on and making sure everyone does get that buy-in, that they are making a real difference for us. So I would say in 2 years' time, we would have the team at maybe, like 10, 15, 20 employees. We would obviously have a huge number of integrations with different data sources. And again, thousands of customers, all being well. We've had unbelievable traction so far. And it's just, again, we're at that kind of sweet spot where, we love the potential customer enthusiasm, but we're still trying to make sure, that, okay, well, once we onboard these customers, we're going to provide value day one. So sometimes that makes it you're not hesitant, but you're just more a bit like, okay, we maybe need a wee bit more time here to make sure we are going to provide value to you day one. You know what I mean? And again, that just comes with us being in our infancy. But no doubt that the more we do of this, the better we'll get and the more value we'll provide to our customers. And I see us growing pretty quickly, maybe Q2 of this year into Q3.
Mick, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story about the launch of Zelta. Great to learn about your background and coming together with two friends to launch this business. And obviously, the early demand from customer adoption is a great sign of things to come. But by hearing you talk about your obsession with making sure you do a good job, I'm sure will serve you as well in the future, because it means that you're going to be consistent with high quality work. And sounds like an exciting place to join, particularly for someone who's motivated by getting into a startup on the ground floor and being part of the build. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at Zelta the best of luck in the months and years to come. Look forward to having you back on the show.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.